Oh, there we go. How's everybody doing tonight? Can you guys hear and see everything okay? Welcome to Slow Markets, everybody. Yeah, I'm just waking up from a nap, guys. Caught slippage on my Nikkei trade. Yep. Coach, what's up? Donalds, how was everybody doing? I'm feeling so much better. I really am. But I don't have a voice. I lost my voice. But I feel great. Dealing with FOMO. Yeah, I lost the voice, but I'm feeling so much better. That's the most important thing. I think it's just all the coughing. This coughing is just, ugh. It's made me lose my voice. Thanks, everybody. I will be on Topstep TV in the morning. I believe it's going to be Coach, me and Rips. I do have a meeting, so I might have to leave a little bit. But before I get started, give me a moment. I got to get a few things set up on my end. I'm so excited to get rid of this cough. I don't know what I'm going to do without. Once this cough goes away, I'm going to feel so much better. So give me just a moment, guys. Okay, welcome everybody. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach TBA. As always, there's our Topstep risk disclosure. I just typed that into the YouTube chat. Everything I could say is for educational purposes only. We're going to be living the live, talking about the live markets. And you can see I'm losing my voice, but that's okay. I'm finally over my sickness. I just have a cough and I lost my voice. I have been drinking tea with some great local honey, but no lemon though. I don't like lemon. I have honey, some fresh honey too as well. Jay, I promise I'm not selling anything in Discord. Yeah, if you see any of the coaches trying to sell something on Discord, just block and report them. 100%. No coaches, nobody here at Topstep will try and sell anything. Let's dive into it. Everybody knows I'm a bull on NASDAQ. NASDAQ has been really, really good to me. Sure enough, guys, what were we talking about? We have a higher low on the NASDAQ. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. We pushed up. We got to this level. Today was actually a lot more bullish than I thought, to be honest, where we rallied up. And I was thinking that maybe we could run into some resistance around here. We didn't. I was surprised. I did take a little bit of a short. That it was a winning trade. It didn't last very long. But, man, we just broke right through it. There was no resistance. We broke out of this high, this pivot high, and we pushed up all the way past. We pretty much touched, what was the high? 18,200. We continue to push higher. Honestly, I could see this market coming all the way back up to these highs again. Let me see. I would not be surprised if by the end of the week I wouldn't be surprised if we're up here, 18,400s. I mean, heck, all we know is tomorrow maybe Wednesday we're waking up to all-time new highs. You just never know with the NASDAQ. We have another, this has been a really bullish 3 days. That's where I'm looking at the NASDAQ. I don't want to be a seller. I don't want to be shorting this market. Obviously, we're making higher lows, and we just made a new higher high. And where this next higher high will be, we really don't know. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to zoom into a hourly chart here on the NASDAQ. And as I go through this analysis, feel free to type in any questions. We have an amazing moderator that they help feed us some of the questions that I do miss. We're getting a lot bigger audience, which is amazing. But on the downside is I don't get to every single question. So don't feel shy about copy paste your question a couple times. So we start to zoom in, right? And as we zoom in, we see a little bit more clarity. We can see these pivots a little bit better. We can see these highs. We can see where we're breaking out, and we are right around 18,200. And so we ask ourselves, is this a good area to take a trade? Well, I mean, from the short side, maybe, just maybe if we're expecting a pullback because we have a lot of resistance here. However, I would much rather us take the short as we were getting into a resistance. Now that we've just broke through it, we've already got to, now that the more I see this, the more you can kind of see, we rallied up here. There was some resistance in this area. We didn't really quite get there. Now, I mean, besides that, I feel like I'm really being nitpicky, looking into all the little tiny things here in the NASDAQ rather than just paying attention to the big picture. The more I try and just really start to break this market down. But essentially, what this comes down to is we broke high. The next stop, I think we're going to be seeing 18,300s, maybe 18,400s. It's risk on in the market going up and to the right. Now, how do we get in? Is, in my opinion, we wait for the pullback. I'm going to be waiting for the pullback. I'm going to see if we could get down to 18,050, 18,100. This is a big zone that I would like the market to pull back into before I start looking into a long. I'm going to see if we could get there tonight, maybe in the morning by the time fast market starts. That's what I'm going to be looking at. Samuel, question. Since the 100 tick is available at Topstep X, are you now able to load more data past today? I'll have to check. I haven't been on Topstep X today, but now that they do have the 100 tick available in Topstep X, it's like every single day there's something new in Topstep X. We just announced it going live today. You know, me, Coach Jay, and MP and the team. It's amazing to see every single day there's new things being added. Like in email, it's something new, and it's very hard to keep track of because you guys know a lot quicker than I do, to be honest. But man, isn't it just amazing? I mean, we've seen this coming, all this new things, all these new features that's coming to Topstep X. We ask for it, we demand it, and they deliver it to us. Love in Topstep X. Let's get to a couple more questions. Coach Dakota, what is the smallest time frame is okay to do analysis in your opinion? Alec, so this is a good question. What is the smallest time frame, in my opinion, to do analysis on? Well, to me, it's the time, what time you're trading, what market you're trading, what time of day you're trading. During my slow markets class, you're going to see me do this tonight, is I do the 60-minute, and then I'll just even zoom all the way into a 5-minute chart. So I will jump down here to a 5-minute chart. We can see I would like the NASDAQ, if we do have a nice sell-off, to pull back either down here to this, maybe some support here, or this even looks like a better zone. Somewhere in one of these zones to look for a dip buy. That's on the 5-minute chart. On the New York session, I use a 5-minute chart, and then I zoom all the way down to a 100 tick chart. So it depends on what you're trading and what time you're trading. I would say try and get used to just a handful. You don't need to do the analysis on every single, but we all know markets are fractal, and so typically the same type of analysis that you do on one time frame should be similar to another time frame. Dakota, have or ever will you automate your trading style? If not, why not? I've tried a little bit. It's very hard to automate my trading style. So now remember, guys, I'm looking at the markets for the first time as well, and so a lot of what I am doing is just sitting here looking at the charts. If I see something, I'll call it out. If I see something that's interesting to me, I'll talk about it. A lot of what I'm going to be talking about is thinking out loud. Oh, I got plenty of rest over the weekend, Ren. I've had plenty of rest. I feel so much better. I've been drinking tons and tons of water. I have water right here. I've had everything that a person could ask for. I just lost my voice, and coughs don't just go away anymore, I guess. Supposedly coughs take like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get rid of anymore. There's a gap above the NASDAQ from 18,350 to 18,480. So you're talking about this gap from here to here. Not sure. How does your strat change when all we do is rally one direction? Andrew Reyes, my strategy is not one direction. Today, the only trades I took on the NASDAQ, if you believe it or not, the only trade that set up to me was a short, and it worked out really well. It's very basic technical analysis. Let's take a look at the Nikkei. Let's look at the Nikkei. Looks like I missed a trade on the Nikkei. This would have been a really decent trade. Dang it. And I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. So Nikkei, this is ticker symbol NKD. This is the Japanese market, Nikkei. And everybody knows what I'm going to be talking about right now on this type of strategy is we've had this huge rally up. We went pretty much from 38,000 almost to 39,000. We've got this nice sell-off. We sold all the way off down to an area of support. And this could show an opportunity to have a really good risk reward where we could buy in the support zone, have a stop loss either here or here, and then maybe put some take profits a little bit higher. I missed this. It looks like it just happened. You guys were calling it out in chat while I was busy talking. That's a good trade. This is a very, very good trade. Man, that was it. Louis John hit Nikkei target 1-to-1. Yeah, that was the trade. If we zoom into a 5-minute chart, sure enough, we sold right off to this support, this resistance. That was a great trade. Hey Dakota, do you ever consider trading price action at the initial balance or overnight highs or lows? I mean, yeah, of course. Overnight highs and lows are very important. When I'm trading, if it's a major pivot, yes, I will take that into consideration. Yeah, that was the trade. I missed it. It happened literally just 5 minutes ago. Dang it. I'm going to keep an eye. Sometimes the Nikkei would consolidate, and if we see some more consolidation, I will try and get in long. Only if it gives me an opportunity. But I'm not seeing, let's go back to the NASDAQ. So I'm not seeing very much anything else that looks appetizing to me in the NASDAQ. I'm going to stay hands off on the NASDAQ. I'm going to wait for a pullback, and then I'm going to be looking to buy it. Essentially, to me, we are now in a bullish trend. We're making higher lows. We're making higher highs. And essentially, it's just buy the dip, and that's what I'm going to be looking for to tonight, tomorrow. So right now, I'm hands off, waiting for a pullback. NASDAQ, Nikkei, we just briefly touched base on that. I'm going to wait for us to see if it gives me another opportunity to get along. I missed it. That was a good risk reward opportunity down here at this support zone. Let's get to a few more questions, and then we will start and we'll take a look at the NASDAQ. Good question from John Harris. When you use an ATR, so when I use an average true range as a stop and a target, do you get more than one candle or do you add more lots? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Maybe if you rephrase it and send it again, I'll be able to answer it a little bit better. Luna Crypto, what market are you referring to on a pullback for the NASDAQ? I'm guessing it's the NASDAQ. Yeah, it's Tuesday, guys. Starting to look like a sell in May and walk away. I don't know. I have the opposite feelings on that one. It should have been in buy in May, right? Because May started down here. So wouldn't it make sense that it was buy in May and go away? Because May started, this was the start of May. Buy in May, go away. Because this is the beginning of May. May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So who's ever bought so far has worked out pretty well. Dakota, why do you use tick charts? How do they more beneficial than regular charts? It's just a really zoomed in time frame. So that way I could, and I don't want to keep going too far in depth as well. But it's just like a zoomed in time frame that gives me a better and a more clear picture on a more fast paced scale. Yeah, today's price action, you guys seen it on fast markets. Today's price action for a Monday was really crappy. Like I was glad I only took one trade. It's probably better to just close off your computer and go enjoy a day. Just go enjoy, go relax, go do something else. Farm Boy, what time frame do you base your ATR off of? I'm getting a lot of questions on an ATR. Let's do this. Let's go through these other two markets. Let's take a look at crude oil. Let's take a look at gold. And then I'll finish off the last 15, 20 minutes talking about ATR. What do you guys think about that? If I go in depth about how I use an ATR or how I used to use an ATR, and what are my thoughts, like maybe talk more about ATR. What are your thoughts on that, guys? If we look at crude oil, then we look at gold, and then I do a little more in depth about ATR. You guys like it? Great, move on. All right, let's do it. Of course you guys would. I do. It was probably one of my favorite indicators when I started to learn how to trade. So let's take a look at these other markets. If Nikkei, I'm watching Nikkei right here, it might be setting up. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to continue to watch it. I don't want to get caught with let's see. If I see something I like, I'll talk about it. Anyway, let's talk about crude oil. Then we'll talk about gold, and we'll dive into ATR. So here's a 60-minute chart on crude oil. Today was a good day for market structure here on crude oil. What I'm looking at, so this is a 60-minute chart. We've been in this very obvious bearish trend. We've broke down below $80 a barrel. We went down. We tested 80.78. We tested 78 again. And then our beautiful stop loss hunting oil did just that. You see how it made that low. It ran. It made a lower low. And then we just rallied. Unfortunately, I missed that. That would have been an amazing trade setup. But here's what I'm looking at on crude oil. I am looking for crude oil to start to break out and see if we can have a nice run to 80, maybe the mid 80s. I'm looking for crude long. I'm looking for crude to break out. Essentially, we kind of had maybe a double bottom. We tried to break down. We didn't. Immediately got rejected. Rallied all the way back up to 79. This is on the 60-minute crude oil chart. I like a long. I really do like a long crude oil. The question is, how do we get in? Are we going to play for a breakout, and does it break out? That is the question, because we might just sell off, but I still think that there is a possibility if we do break out of this downtrend, we could start to have just a bunch of traders, a lot of momentum. We could just pop all the way up to $80 a barrel, because we didn't really even get to $80 a barrel. We broke through $80 a barrel. We didn't even go up and test it. We went up to $79.90. Immediate rejection, sell off. Like, we've been selling off pretty dang hard, and now we're starting to find, these nice, sell-offs is starting to get weaker, obviously, and we've maybe put in a double bottom. It will be confirmed if we break above this level. Maybe some buy stops up here around this 79.11 mark, looking for a push. If we do break up above this, then I would say that possibly getting up into this zone. Obviously, this is the first one, 79.61, 79.80s. But yeah, I like this higher level. I like this. I like this as a target a lot better, because if we do break out and we get a lot of momentum, 80s, 80.5 could be the area that I'm going to be looking at if we do get a nice push and a nice break. But over the past 2, 3, 4 days, there really hasn't been much going on in oil, to be honest, guys. It's been from 79.80 to 78. So this is not a big range. This is a small range. It's been buy the top of the range or buy the bottom of the range, sell the top of the range. We failed to touch this, and so now we're starting to see some more bullish momentum starting to step in. So that is a sign that I like to see, that I like to look for, that if we do start to break out, then the odds of us going up into the 80s, or at least to go test 80, is a lot more likely. A bull flag. I don't know if I would call it a bull flag. Maybe you could say it's a pattern. The thing is, the trend is down, and if the trend is down, typically the flagging pattern, it would go in the direction of the trend. Maybe you could. I wouldn't be opposed to saying it's a bullish flag, because we are making not as, I don't know even if you want to consider that a lower low, but it's an equal low. It's a reversing pattern. We are starting to see divergence. We're starting to see an equal low and to test. Descending wedge pattern. That sounds a little bit better. Even if we zoom into a 5-minute, there's not much to analyze on a 5-minute chart. You guys could see it right here. Sunday open. Here was today. And we've just been finding a lot of buyers stepping in. We did break out of this. It's bullish, right? Maybe if you're talking about shoulder, head, shoulder. Is that what you're saying? Inverse head and shoulders? Something like that? I'm not sure. I feel like it would be kind of prying for technicals at this point, rather than just maybe let's wait and see that we're starting to see signals that we are starting to reverse, and we could see a nice breakout to the upside. But other than that, there hasn't been much opportunity in crude oil for me. This is an hourly chart on crude oil. Okay, let's move on to gold. Let's look at a 60-minute gold chart. I'm looking at this as an opportunity to short gold. I'm going to be honest. So, remember, I think it was last Wednesday, Coach Jay and I, we were right here. Crude oil, this is gold. This was a great opportunity for a short. I think this is the same thing. I think we're back up into this resistance area. Buy the lows, sell the highs type thing. We still have a lot of bearish momentum. Yeah, I like the risk reward for shorts up here in gold. Maybe look for a play. Maybe looking for a play to just come back and test this 2310s. But crude oil has kind of cooled down. Or not crude oil. Gold has kind of cooled down, right? We had all that volatility, all that craziness from this huge rally. Well, we started to break the rally, sell off, and we're starting to see this. Ooh, man, this is actually looking pretty good for me. I am liking this short. I do like this short on gold. Do I take it? Where do I take it? How do I take it? If I really like it. Sorry, a lot of this is me thinking out loud, guys. Let me see. Don't want that. Yeah, so the first thing I see is obviously this downtrend line, which would provide a great area to have a stop loss. So something like this on a short, maybe like that, right? Where you could maybe even have a tighter stop. I don't know. Just depending on where you get in, get out, where you could have a good, maybe a 3-to-1, 4-to-1 risk reward, depending on where you get in, where your take profits are. Everybody knows that I love to have a runner, maybe even have maybe get into 2 or 3 contracts. I could use, maybe this is my first take profit, second take profit, and then have a stretch take profit, whatever you want to call it from there. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm really liking a short gold in terms of a risk reward standpoint. If I would have loved to get in on something like this, maybe 3 contracts. I'm a little late to the party. And if we zoom into a 5-minute chart, we could see that a little bit better. We could see this downtrend, right? Everyone sees that. Even if we get rid of that, you can see where it's a really decent, cheap short where we could have a stop loss up here. And if it does start to move, it's easier to do a stop loss there. And then we could have a really high risk reward on here. Everyone talking about Nikkei. Nikkei. Oof. Why? It's making... This is a cheap long. This is a cheap long trade on Nikkei. It's giving it to me. Oh. Do I? Oh man. Oh. Do I try and get into Nikkei? We'll see if Nikkei will give it to me. I'm gonna watch it a little bit. Okay, it gave me a fill. We'll see. I'm a little bit hesitant. Always the first test is where I'm the most confident. When we go down, the first test around there is usually my favorite and most confident. I'll watch this. Let's watch it. I'm going to put my stop loss. Make sure I have a stop loss in. Okay. I might add this. I might add if we reverse and start going in that direction again, because I like this zone. Catching the falling knife. I mean, it depends on your perspective on this one, Hoop. It's a cheap trade, a unprobable trade, because the probability of making money on this trade is not as likely, right? Because we're going against the current trend. The trend is down. The market's going down. So we're going against the trend. So the probabilities of this is probably, I would win this trade 25 to 30% of the time. It's not that great, but what I am getting in return is a great risk reward. a cheap trade, right? To where I could be targeting maybe something like this. Maybe something like this, for example, right? And I'm giving this a little bit of space to work. If we start to reverse, I could even put like a stop loss right here. I could get a really good 4-to-1, 5-to-1, 6-to-1, or greater. Like this is a really good risk reward entry, cheap trade, as Hogue likes to say. I do like it right here because we have this pivot. So it depends. Yeah, this is a little bit hard. I like it. We tested it once. We are kind of just hovering around that. I'm going to keep an eye. 3 contracts, not risking too much, but let's watch. We'll continue to watch this. But gold, yeah, gold's has not been my favorite so far. It's been pretty choppy. I've not been the best gold trader. Like I said, I've been slowly easing into gold. I like a short here. I do like a short to get back towards the $300 level. But other than that, I think that's it for me on gold. I talked about gold, crude oil, NASDAQ. Let's watch this. This is one where I could very easily move my stop loss really quick. So we could go over this trade a little bit more. Give me a moment. So, man. Cough goes away. Let's get to some more questions, and then we'll jump into an ATR, and I'll talk about this trade some more. Oh, man. So, yeah, this is a perfect example of a trade that has low probability and a high risk reward, where I'm okay if I lose this trade 7 times out of 10. I'm perfectly fine losing this trade 7 times out of 10. I'm going to watch this a little bit more while I answer some questions because I am tempted. This is one where it's a tight stop, having a much higher risk reward. As you can see, this is very well could be your risk where you're risking this much, right? So you're risking 1 unit. So you're risking 1 to make 1, 2. There's 3, pretty much 3 risk reward. I actually like that. I like that as a take profit. 4, let's see. This is just very eyeballing at 5. Maybe a 6-to-1 risk reward. So a 6-to-1 risk reward, which statistically means you don't have to be right very often. You don't have to be right very often at all. 6-to-1 risk reward is a really good. You could be wrong well more than 50% of the time and still have a profitable and positive expectancy. So, yeah, I like that stop loss. I actually like it right here just because of that. So the reason why... Okay, let's talk through this trade. Yeah, this trade went a little bit fast. Maybe it went over a lot of people's heads. Feel free to ask me any questions on this trade because this is the same example. This is the same type of trading that I will trade during the NASDAQ, during crude oil, during gold. It's the same style of trading, the same way I manage my risk reward. That's it. Like that is it. I'm going to just keep my risk. I want to tighten my risk up. So essentially, I did talk about it a little bit. We had this nice sell-off. We're in a bullish trend, right? We are trending up and to the right. This has been a nice bullish market. There's definitely could be traders looking for a pullback. That we did pull back, right? This is technically a pullback. We pull back. This is a nice area of support, support resistance. This is a good zone. We sold off. We got into there. It tested it at 1. The first time is also a really great trade. We tested it. We got into the second time. It's holding up again. And yeah, that's it. Like that's simple as it gets for a trade like this. Working out pretty good too, right? I don't know about the correlation between the Nikkei and the NASDAQ. I haven't paid too much attention to the Nikkei or the NASDAQ, but yeah, I'm actually kind of debating right now in my head between this as a stop loss and this as a stop loss, right? Because I like this as a stop loss because we have this. Like, this is the first stop loss I see, and I like it. And I like leaving them there to be a little bit more wiggle room. But I'm also a big fan of limiting risk and having this as a stop loss. And so this is a question that I go through a lot. I'm sure you guys look at this as well, right? Where we're talking about probabilities. If I have my stop loss down here, I'm going to have more of a chance of a winner. But if I have my stop loss up here, I'm not going to have as big as a loser. And so what means more to me right now is, do I have a wider stop loss or do I have a tighter stop loss? I think for this trade, I'm going to go with a tighter stop loss. Now, I think I'm going with a tighter stop loss. And the only reason why is because I think initially my stop loss is here and I'm okay with that. But because we're already showing some buyers coming in and it's showing us support twice, then I'm okay with this being a stop loss. Because then I'm like, you know what? If we do break down, then the odds of us just continuing are a lot greater. So yeah, I'm okay. Plus I'm managing risk on this one anyway. So there we go. Rips. Hi, Dakota. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Is it true that you wear a white beacon? Your training strategy is white hot, and what's the first night? No, perfect. Man. Oh, man. There's definitely a smart comment to come back at that one. I love it. It's the reason why I'm wearing this beanie. I woke up from a nap, and I had some bed hair, and I didn't want to do my hair, so I just put on a freaking beanie rather than do my hair. Long time listener, first time caller. But yep. Yeah, Rips. Kind of caught me off guard on that one. Love it. Excited. I'm going to be with Rips tomorrow morning during fast markets. I'm excited to trade with you. It's been a while, buddy. We're going to do this together. The good old Jim Cramer. Maybe I should do that one day. I should get some phone number and get some phone calls coming in. So that could go either really good or really bad. Having some random phone caller, have to find a way to filter some calls. Gold selling. I mean, yeah, if you want to call that a sell off. Yeah, that would be interesting to get just get a burner phone, get some random phone number. We could stick out there for the day or for the evening during slow markets when I have a guest on and be like, hey, and we could have that. We could do it better than Jim Cramer. Jim Cramer is like my grandpa version of like we're going to do it better. We could do it better, right? We could do a lot better. Dakota, is there any update on maybe trading a London session? Big Rob, not yet, soon. Right now it's just me working on getting healthier, working on getting back into a rhythm. And then yeah, we could definitely get a London session in one of these days. I'm watching this. We're making money tonight. Can you explain how much is your risk on this trade? My risk on this trade is $75 per tick, and I'm risking about from 65 to 95. I don't know. What is that? Let's do the math. We could do the math together. let's go 595 minus 565. Man, my math. You guys probably do the math a lot quicker than I am. So, yeah, I'm only risking $450. 450. Yeah, there we go. That was some slow math. I keep pushing this button on the side of my keyboard and it's starting to make me upset. But originally, I was probably risking about 600, right? $600 on this. So originally, I was risking 600. Let's talk about originally, right? Because originally, I was risking 600 to make to 3,000. Risk 600 to make 3,000. Really good risk reward on this. Now I'm risking about 450 to make, 3,000. And we could just push. We could push rally, which we're doing a really good job here, making some money. What are my thoughts about adding to winners? I really love adding to winners. It just depends on how you add to it. Do you enter a trade with market orders or stop orders? I use limit orders for most of my entries. I use limit orders to enter and exit most of my trades. I would not consider adding to this trade. This was a cheap trade. I got the cheap price, and I'm happy with it. Anyway, let's dive into ATR. We're coming up into the last 15 minutes of the trading session, of slow markets. Let's talk about ATR. What are some questions you guys have about ATR? I know, last week I was talking about what's my favorite indicator. Dakota, do I have any favorite indicator? And I mentioned ATR. We even talked about it right now, right? It's hard. We have these decisions as traders. Where do we put stop losses? Where do we put take profits? It could be very, very hard. And one tool that I used to use a lot was an ATR for my stop losses and for my take profits. So let's talk about it. Nikkei is not the best market to talk about ATR, but let's see what an ATR looks like on Nikkei. Okay. Just a 14 period ATR. That's all I ever used. Something very basic and simple. It's not science. It's not anything complex. It's not this huge thing. But let's see if we can talk about it a little bit. I might switch over to the NASDAQ. Richard Harris. I might switch over to the NASDAQ because the NASDAQ might be a lot better of an example. Keep an eye on Nikkei for me, guys. Let me know if it gets back down. Shout it out in chat if the Nikkei comes back down or if we push up. Keep an eye on it for me, guys. I'm going to switch over to the NASDAQ because the NASDAQ has a lot better examples of how to use an ATR. And I think it's very important, and we're going to talk about that. Thank you, and I always appreciate it. You guys help me out a lot. I'm trying to run a class here, and I'm also a trader. So running a class, being a trader, switching back and forth. And this is the only chart I have. Maybe I should have more than one chart. Let's go. Just the 14 period ATR. That's all I like. That's all I used. I experienced a lot of them. I've tried a lot of different periods. I don't know which one's better, which one's worse, but I just used one. Let me get this. I want to make sure it shows up really good for you guys. Okay, here is an ATR, average true range, down here at the bottom. and up here is the NASDAQ. 5-minute chart. Okay, this is a 5-minute chart on the NASDAQ, and this is how I used to trade it during slow markets, during fast markets primarily, because, and it just doesn't really matter what time. It gives you what an ATR is. It's an average true range, and an average true range helps us gauge volatility. Like, how are the markets today? What's the volatility? And today was a good example. Today was not a very volatile day. You can see over here during the New York session. This was the New York session. This was the open of the New York session. An average true range was about 8 points. As soon as we opened up, the New York session started. You could see down here that the volatility started to increase. The average true range on the 5-minute chart was 12 points, 13 points. And as the New York session opened, the ATR continued to grow. And as we're trading this, 15-point ATR in a 5-minute chart is not a lot, guys. It really is not a lot. Typically, as you can see, if we go back to look at yesterday's. Yesterday's ATR was 40. Look at that. 40 ATR, 30 ATR, 30s. Like, that was yesterday's during New York session. 30s, 40s. This was today. Today was, where were we at? During the New York session for today, we were in the 15s. That gives you a big difference, right? 30s and 40s versus 15. So yesterday was twice as volatile as today. It's crazy, right? And that gives you a good example of how volatile the markets are. And that should also give you a good example of how we should be placing our stops. So in a market like this, I'm okay with having a stop loss 14 points away. And so let's say we're using the same strategy, right? Say we're in a range, we want to get in, we want to buy the market. Say we might buy the market on a pullback. Say we get in here. Say we don't get the best price, we get in a pullback. Then I would be looking for a 15-point stop loss. So simple, so easy. My stop loss would be there. Okay? My take profit should probably be 1 ATR, right? If I'm going for a 1-to-1 risk reward, something very simple, very basic. Sometimes I like to go for a 2 ATR. So a 2 ATR stop loss or a take profit would be 30 points. So I'd be looking for 30 points, 20, 30. So something like this. So a 2-to-1 risk reward. So that's a good example of how I like to use ATR. And then as the day goes, let's say as the day's going by, say in the afternoon session during power hour, let's say during power hour, say here, right? So now we're in the same exact situation. We were looking to buy the dip. We happen to buy the dip, say here. Well, now I only have a 11-point stop loss. So 11 points, okay? And then maybe a 22-point take profit. So something like this, okay? This is a very simple example of how I use ATR for stop losses and take profits. Primarily for stop losses, not so much for take profits. And then as the day went on, and then obviously, here's another extreme example. Here's the Asian market. Look, 4 or 5 points. If you're trading the same way, there's not a lot of volatility. So I hope that makes sense. And now let's open it up to some questions. I'm going to jump over to the Nikkei. What happened? First take profit hit. Let me adjust my stop loss. There we go. Not too bad. There we go. Okay. Let's get to some of your guys' questions, because ask me anything on ATR. I use it as something very simple, a very simple tool that helps me identify where to put my stop losses. and then how the markets are moving. Does ATR work the same way for both long and short positions? Phoenix, yes. I do use, and it's the same for both directions. Average true range is both for short and long positions. It has zero bias. Gold is really selling now. Come on, guys. Yeah, now gold's selling. Now I would say we're starting to catch some momentum. That was a good short I missed. It's amazing how nonchalant you are about your take profit being hit. Because it's boring. Trading's boring. It's just a take profit. It's doing this every single day, day in, day out. Now if it would have just shot up and I got like $5,000 in like a minute, maybe I would have been excited. But it's the same thing, guys, over and over again. Yeah, it is what it is, right? I control my risk, and it's either going to go up or down, and that's the reality. I think my second take profit's going to be this little pivot right there. Okay, what makes you stay so calm while your trades start going in your direction? I feel so uncomfortable. Yeah, that's the same thing. Repetition over and over again. It is doing the same thing, many, many, many times. It's the same when you look at any sports, right? When you look at basketball players, football players, baseball players, soccer players, and they get put in these very high pressure situations. And like, man, were you feeling any pressure? It's like, no, I practiced that shot over thousands and thousands of times in my career. And then when it comes, and it's the same thing. I executed. What's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is some news threads, I go down and I hit my stop loss. I already know worst case scenario. Other than that, there's nothing that can happen that I haven't seen before. I have my orders in, and that's it. What year is this trading for me? Year, I don't know. What year is this for me, guys? Let's see. This is year number 14. 14. Year number 14. Wow. Makes me feel old. So, year number 14. Yeah, I talked about gold earlier. I mean, essentially gold, I was looking to short. I really like this gold short. I didn't pull the trigger. That was just a very textbook, almost exactly the opposite of Nikkei, right? Cheap trade, right? Exact opposite of Nikkei. A cheap trade, right at a nice area of support resistance. Manage risk. Have a good risk reward. Be okay if you get stopped out. That was a great trade on gold. I didn't take it. Yeah, I started trading at the age of very young. Technically, I have to say I didn't start trading legally by my own until I was 18 years old. But, of course, I was signed on to a parent's account when I was 14 years old. I started learning when I was much younger. I didn't start actually getting any skin into the game until I was 14, because you can't until you have a parent or guardian sign you onto their account. Yeah, you know how it is, Richard. And then when you turn 18, you can open up your own account and you can become a trader. So technically, I didn't start trading until 18 years old. Does it take 3 years to become profitable? I would say 3 years is a good target. To each their own. 1, 2, 3 years. It depends on what your goals are, right? If you're doing this as kind of like a hobby, as something you just want to start getting into, because it's like 3 years, how many hours a day are you putting in? How many hours a year are you putting in? It depends for everybody. If you're only putting in like an hour, 4 hours a week, maybe it's going to take 2, 3 years. Maybe if you're putting in 8 hours a week, it's going to take a year. It depends on so many different things. It's very hard to say. And it's not, okay, let me make sure I get this straight, guys. They just had graduation this year around the world here in the United States. There are people out there that spent 2, 4, and 6 years in college. They're paying tens of thousands of dollars to get an associate's, a bachelor's, and a master's degree in college, right? And that's how long? 2 years, 4 years, 6 years for some of those higher degrees. And then they don't start making money until after they're done with college. And then they have debt. So if you think of trading similar to college, yeah, I'm okay. I don't mind if it takes me 4 years. And then I could start making $100,000 a year or becoming consistent where I could work remote. I could work wherever I want around the world. I could be my own boss. Give that to me. That's a trading education right there. That's like a college degree. So maybe if you put it in that type of perspective, sure. Yeah. So, JD, that's why most of us are here. Education failed to provide an exit strategy. Oh, I have no comment on that one. Yeah, it's the dream, right? So if you could tell me, it's like, oh, I don't need a college degree. I could go become a profitable trader in a year. And that's kind of just meh. It's not impossible because, yeah, very much you can become consistent in a year and you can make money in a year. But definitely, just like anything else, any other skill set in this world, it will take about the same as a degree. Now, college, you don't need to worry about a freaking elective class. I don't need to worry about taking like fine arts or religion, or I don't have to worry about taking some type of elective class. You just get a straight lesson in the markets. You don't have to worry about anything else. So that is one nice thing about the markets. You don't have to worry about, I don't want to say paying for it. It's going to cost less because you have prop firms out here. You have a place like Topstep where you don't have to pay as much as a tuition. And you don't have to worry about learning about so many other things in finance that doesn't have too much to do about being a trader, where you could get a master's degree in finance, and half of what the degree teaches you in finance doesn't directly correlate becoming a professional trader, right? You see me do math. I do math on the calculator. I don't need to know very in-depth statistics and probabilities. I don't need to know algorithms. I don't need to know all of that. We could just trade. Question: why do I not move my stop loss to break even? Because there has not been a point. I would much rather wait to see if we get another pivot, and then I would move my stop loss to the pivot. But right now, this stop loss is still valid for me. Dakota, where do you see your trading account balance and your contract size 6 months or a year from now? I'm going to just speak only on my Topstep trading account because that's the one that we should focus on. My Topstep trading account balance and my Topstep contract size 6 months from now, I don't know. We'll see. It depends on what the market gives me. Some months I might take a very big loss. Some months I might do some wins. But I started trading in January, mid-January. It's April, so there's 3 months. if we use how the past 3 months have been as a forward looking to my trading now, maybe I'm at a $300,000 account trading 6 lots. Maybe that's as an example. It's very hard to say. You want to see me in a DOM? No. Yeah, no, I won't be in a DOM. I won't be getting in that big. It's too big for me. I would break it in like 5 increments of 5 contracts at a time. Just 5, 5, 5, 5. You wouldn't see me in the DOM. What do you see your account at if the market stops this week until the election? I mean, if the market stops this week, my account will be wherever I'm at on Friday, right? Toby, yes, I do scale into trades. It depends on the trade. Manual icebergs, yes. Maybe with the house account, we'll get MP up to 100 lots. MP was feeling pretty excited this morning. He was still on vacation. He was feeling good. He was ready to put in the size. Just nothing showed up for us to allow him to put in the size. Unfortunately, didn't mean it. I was wanting to. That 20. We were looking for a short. It showed up for a minute. You want to see Bear Dakota come out, Danielle? You should have watched. You should have watched Topstep TV Fast Markets. I was a bear. I got into a short. Yeah, 18,120 was my short. It worked really well. Phoenix, answer it. We're coming up. We're done. I think that is it, guys. Let me just get out of this. I actually want to get out of one more contract here. Let me see if I could get out of one more contract. Scott Martin, I am a rifle hunter. I am a long range person. I have a 6.5 Creedmoor. I reload for it. If that tells anybody who is an outdoors person, I do have a 6.5. No, not Creedmoor. Sorry, that's an older gun. I have a 6.5 PRC that I reload for. 6.5 PRC. That's what I use. Let me see if we can get out of here. A&M Machines, recommend you learning YouTube. Other than Topstep, we have Rips. If you trade and if you want to trade during the New York session, Rips is a 100% recommend. Love it. So carving up Colorado. No muzzleloader for me. Nope. 6.5 PRC. Long range. I love the science behind the long range stuff. Well, maybe it's not going to give it to me. Anyway, that's where my take profits. That's where I'm going to end it today. Let me put this one back. So, okay, there you go, guys. Take care. I will see you tomorrow morning. And then again, maybe tomorrow night. So, see you, everybody. And